Hey guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 bot lane combinations for solo queue. Now these supports and ADs on this list are here because they synergize really well with each other, they have a big impact and can win pretty much any lane. Now also to keep it interesting, I haven't used the same champions twice in this list, so it'll give you a lot of different things to try. So first up then, we probably have the most famous bot lane combination in Graves Taric. Now these guys are notorious for outputting a huge amount of burst in a very short space of time. Now Taric can zone really effectively because of this, and if they get too close he's likely going to unload his gems all over you and have Graves finish you off. Now what really makes this lane so special is that the fact that they complement each other in a bunch of different ways. Now Taric's bonus armor makes Graves even harder to kill with his passive, and it kind of counters the usual way you play against burst. So usually you just have to survive the first rotation and then you can turn around because all of their abilities are on cooldown. Now in this case though, if you aren't already dead from the burst, which you honestly probably are, then you'll turn around and not really deal that much damage to either, so you'll lose regardless. Now the obvious other synergy here is the burst that Taric can output alongside Graves. Now Taric's new passive helps with this a lot and has honestly made them pretty scary again. Now because you'll end up zoning and probably killing your lane opponents quite a lot, you're also going to attract a lot of attention, so you need to ward properly to avoid getting set behind. So next up we have Thresh. Now this lane is really good for a couple of reasons, with the main one being that they can turn ganks around so easily. Now both of these champions have great ways to kite with Siv's ult, Thresh's ult, his E and even his Q, and it's just impossible to stick to either one of them long enough to kill them. Not only can they turn ganks around with their kiting, but they are also really strong when going aggressive. Now Siva benefits from anything that locks her target in place for a guaranteed Q damage, and Thresh has 2 or maybe 3 if you push it ways of keeping someone CC'd. It's also a very low risk lane as you can poke heavily and disengage if you need to. Thresh's auto attacks hurt, but also remember that you don't need to go in on every hook you land. And landing a hook will give Siva free damage onto a target, and repeating this before you all in will guarantee you kills rather than taking that risk. This is also the safest lane that I've chosen, and it does transfer into the team fighting phase as well. So Siva can ult away and Thresh can use his ult to slow anyone chasing, meaning that you're really going to end up wasting your time if you try to go aggressive. The all round offensive and defensive options you have when using this lane is why it's at number 4. Now this is probably my favourite lane to play, and it's going to be Janna Draven. Now Janna is quite a passive support in that she's really the queen of peeling rather than aggression. Her kit is built to protect people, but in this lane it allows Draven to do so much more. Now one of Draven's strengths is the AD ratio on his Q, and the Janna shield means that you'll be hitting so hard even early. So not only does Janna aid his aggression with her shield, but her Q and W are also great at disruption. Now Draven is a mix of burst and persistent damage, and Janna can hold his target in place long enough for him to kill them in most cases. So that's kind of just one side of the lane too, because you're using Janna for what she's not really intended for. Now Draven has no escape, and it's always been a big weakness of his, and Janna is the perfect answer. Now in teamfights, Janna will keep people away long enough for Draven to easily kill them, and leaving a Draven alone to stand there and auto attack is really bad for your health. Combining this aggressive side with the godlike protection that Draven needs is why this is such a potent lane. So taking the silver medal in this video is Lucian and Annie. Now the skill sets don't really synergize together that well, but the sheer power they have means that they can control pretty much any lane. So when you trade bot lane, the person you focus often can't get off much damage at all because they are too busy avoiding damage or running away. Now this is often why you focus the AD in trades so their damage is reduced, but this combination in this lane is more of a double threat, which is why it's so deadly. If you focus Lucian, then Annie is going to rip you apart, and if you focus Annie, then Lucian is going to jump on you instead. Now this makes it really hard to do anything to them, as unless you can kill one of them instantly, which is pretty impossible with an Annie stun, you'll probably end up taking a lot of damage and possibly have the trade turned against you. And that's just if you engage onto them. Now if Annie engages, then Lucian has enough burst with a Bloodthirster to follow up and secure the kill, making a kill possible every time cooldowns are up. This is probably the lane that scales best into mid game alongside Siva and Thresh. So at number 1 we have Jinx Fiona, and this is really the lane that has the most synergy by far. Now what makes them so effective is actually really simple, and it only relies on two abilities, Leona's stun and Jinx's traps or E. Now when Leona engages onto someone and stuns them, you just put your flame chompers directly behind them, and it means that they either have to run through them and get snared again, or run around and take a bunch of free damage. Now this combo is so simple yet so effective, and 99% of the time you'll at least get their flash if not a kill. So just to put that into perspective, Flame Chompers have a 24-second cooldown at rank 1, so that means you can blow their flash or kill every 24 seconds. So just to put that into perspective, Flame Chompers has a 24-second cooldown, so that means you can blow their flash or kill every 24 seconds. Now it sounds like a lot, but in reality it's nothing, and that's actually just really silly. Then you can factor in that Jinx and Leona both do a lot of damage, and Jinx has an execute ultimate which is guaranteed to hit if Leona stuns, and you will have the makings of the best bot lane right now. Now I will say that Lucian Annie is way more face roll than this lane, and both Leona and Jinx are harder to play in themselves, but if you can play both to the same standard, then this lane will win every time.